Good afternoon. How are you doing today? I am happy to have you on this show live, wherever you are watching this from. Today, I would also like to appreciate those who have been watching this channel, this show continuously. We have many people from Kenya, some from diaspora, all over the world who keep watching this channel, giving us feedback, those who subscribe to our channel, commenting and asking questions. There are those who even come to our business to invest here with us. We thank all of you. Before I forget, welcome again. Today is another Thursday. We'd like to talk about collapsing buildings. This is something that has been trending for one whole week, and people are still talking about it. Why? Because majority of you, maybe who are watching today, you have either built or planning to build your own home. Interestingly, most people build their own homes. If you look at statistics, we have 25,000 mortgages. These are people most likely who buy completed buildings. These are apartments, these are bungalow, mansionettes, and all that. But most people go step by step. This is the Kenyan way. They buy the plot from Username Investment, an affordable plot for that matter, in a very nice place where they can commute daily. The next thing they do the foundation. The next thing they do the walls and stuff like that until they complete. And in 5 years, most people are able to complete building their own homes. That's how Kenyans do it. But by doing so, you find people make many mistakes. And I would like to address some of them today. Maybe some people know what exactly they should do when they are constructing. But the problem of human beings, me included, is that sometimes we have tidbits, we have bits, very general information that we know about things, either about construction, about matatus, about travel, about small businesses, about the war in Ukraine, geopolitics and stuff like that. We seem to know so many things on a general perspective. But on a specific perspective, you find most people don't know. If you are planning to construct a home, a flat, and many other things, we'd like to welcome you today to have a conversation with us. Let's look at how to avoid these costly mistakes. Before I forget, this is Real Estate in Kenya with Reuben Kimani. We bring these topics live to you. Some of them are topics of interest to the society, to the industry, real estate industry, maybe to the Kenyans in general. Basically trying to educate you, give you information based on our experiences in real estate, research topics like this one, and maybe we can save lives. Also, we can also be able to save you money and maybe give you some information as you try to construct and start to construct that can really help you do it right. Some people are trying to save money. Others are trying to save time. All the time, when mistakes happen, people are trying to to do shortcuts. So what are things that we should do to avoid these costly mistakes? Basically, we have seen collapsing buildings, and if you look at what has been trending for a week, there's this building in Kinoo. I used to stay there at some point in my life, that collapsed. This is on Saturday at 11:30 p.m. at night. And of course, it was leaning to another apartment block. And of course, it scares me. It was trending. And also last year, a 9-story building collapsed. This is in Ruiru. It was under construction at around 3 a.m. Most of the time, the people who are on the ground will give you signs and signals. Like this one in Kinoo, some guys had already seen cracks, those people who are building. Maybe somebody ignored them. So there are so many things. But let's look at statistics just for your own understanding. These are a survey that was done by National Building Inspectorate. It's called NBI. I think most people don't know about that state department. I think it's in the Ministry of Housing. They did a survey of 14,895 buildings. 723 were classified as very dangerous out of the 14,000. 10,700 were classified to be unsafe. People can still live there for years, but it is unsafe. Maybe with El Nino, big rains, a slight earthquake, this thing can go down. 1,200 to be fair, and only 2,100 and 94 were found to be safe. Imagine 2,000 buildings out of a population of 14,000. And that was done in a section of the population or section of the country. You can imagine how many more buildings we have out there that are unsafe. Only about 15% of the building were safe. That is about 2,100. They also said and pointed that out of every 100 buildings, count them, 35 of them are likely to collapse. Just as you go home, I don't want to scare you, count 35 buildings, and they are saying, according to this study, 35 of them are likely to collapse. And this is where we live as people. This is where we bring up our children. Some of them are schools, some of them are hospitals. You can imagine. That is a big risk. It just shows the overall or the general picture in the society. How do we live like that? How did we get there as a country or as an industry? Allow me to talk about those common construction mistakes, and I will be addressing you personally, because at some point, even if you are watching me and you are in high school, you'll be for your own family. There are things that you need to do. Of course, you can hire contractors, professionals, but the rule of thumb, even when you are investing and you need an agent, a broker, stockbroker, you need to understand what you are investing in. You cannot delegate that. You need to understand generally the steps you need to take when you are building your own home. Just to go directly to the point, as time is moving very fast, number one and the most common is ignoring expert advice. Most of our people, and I know this is very common, in Geshagi, wherever you are, even in the city, most people don't use professionals, they ignore expert advice anytime. Like if you look at this example of this building that collapsed somewhere in Kinoo, they are saying, according, and this was in the newspaper, according to the architectural and structural approvals from the Kiambu County government, these guys had approved 4 floors, but these guys were doing 6. Of course, when you approve 4 floors, unless you are very smart, you do 4 floors, but you do a foundation for 6. What I mean is you get approval for 4, but you get a foundation for 6. Most likely, they did a foundation for 4 floors, but wanted to do 6. But there are so many other factors I'll be able to highlight today, and maybe you'll start seeing the picture of why that building maybe fell, and maybe avoid others from falling. So you'll find most people ignore expert advice. These are professionals, and when you are building very fast, you need an architect, you need a structural engineer, you need a civil engineer, you need a contractor, you may need a normal surveyor first to look at the land. There are so many professionals involved. And of course, there are also project managers, firms that deal with that. This information is available if you are looking for it. What are these people do I need? And some of them, they may not charge as much as you think. Assuming you are doing a 3-bedroom bungalow that will cost you 5 to 8 million shillings. Do you know, maybe you can negotiate with an architect who will charge you like 40,000? I've done that myself. Some people try to avoid 40,000, and maybe a question that I can throw to you today. Would you rather avoid paying 1 million shillings or lose 50 million shillings? Because for apartment blocks, you might use 50 millions to build. People are avoiding, or for a small building, your own house, would you rather save 100,000 and lose 5 million shillings? The question is upon you. So people are trying to cut shortcuts. At the end of the day, you lose more. That's the message I'm trying to communicate today. Just pay that architect. If you need to negotiate a good architect, pay them whatever much you can. It is not a lot compared to the amount of money you are investing in that house. So number 2, hiring the wrong people leading to poor workmanship. Like I said from number 1, people are avoiding expert advice. So you avoid all those professional architects, structural engineers. You avoid a fully approved contractor because you want somebody who will charge you very little amounts of money and stuff like that. This is related. You hire the wrong people. Like if you look at this Kinoo building, it is alleged that they had no site engineer, nor did they have a supervisor on the ground. Maybe you want to do it yourself. You don't have expertise in that particular field, or you think you know because you have seen buildings. You have to gauge yourself. But at all times, use people who know what they are doing. And these are professionals. That's why they went to school for 5 years. Imagine, somebody went to school for 5 years in a university to learn about structural engineering. Then you think you can do an apartment block without their support. What you need to do is a smart. Being a business, you need to think through. I would like you to also think the same way. Just like a businessman, how best can you be able to use the best service providers at the lowest cost? It means you get architects, you negotiate. You get structural engineers, you negotiate. I know you can negotiate on approval of the county government, for example. That is a standard cost, but you can negotiate at every point of the way because you are spending so much money. Please hire the right people. Hire the right architect, hire the right structural engineer, hire the right, if you need a civil engineer, hire the right contractor. And how do you know the right people? Experience. Even the Bible tells us that if you'll know them by their fruit. They were talking about false prophets. You are wondering, how do I know false prophets? You will know them by their fruit. And they also say, actions speak louder than words. So you go back and look at the work they have done. These people have profiles. All of them, you can be able to know. Let's go to number 3 very fast. Underestimating the cost, making you compromise on quality. And I think this one is a big one. Most people are trying to do a flat that should be built with 70 million and they want to use 40 million shillings. Of course, as a project manager, we always thought about time, quality and cost. Those are things that you need to manage. But there is a level where you shouldn't go. So you have to be very wise. And of course, professionals will tell you, like the quantity surveyors will tell you, will do a BQ. These are a bill of quantities. They can tell you approximately how much you should spend. Some people want to cut that by half. It is not possible, my friend. You can cut that by 10% negotiating. You negotiate the tools, the materials, negotiate everything, but don't compromise on quality at all costs because you are spending so much. So some people are trying to compromise on cost, and that is one big reason I believe most people are getting this substandard work. You should not compromise. What you should do is to be smart, negotiate where you can, get the best quality. One of the things that we have done as an organization, that's to give you a heads up. We used to give turnkey contracts for our jobs. You do a lot of validation for our projects so that you find them ready for constructions. An office like this one, at some point we decided we'll be doing labor contracts. We are in a market ourselves. So we hire people individually. We need an architect. We do manage the project. We have project managers in-house that you have employed. But we hire architects, we hire structural engineers, we hire all those people. Basically, we do labor contracts. To save costs, we decided to buy materials ourselves based on the advice of all these professionals that I have listed. And that one has saved a lot of cost, but we get the best quality. I can cut the cost by maybe between 10 to 30%. But trying to cut cost by 70%, my friend, is not possible. You will get a compromised structure. Number 4, hiring the wrong contractor. I think I've covered that. Most people won't handle, especially in the village. Unasikia so and so did this house, alifanya hiyo, unamuita. And that's how most people operate. He's the one who did that 3-bedroom house the kienyeji way. Unamuita, now you want them to do a flat. It will not work. You have to hire somebody who is commensurate, somebody who matches up the kind of structure that you are building. If you are doing this big structure, it goes without saying. You need all these professionals in the picture. But start small. Even those who are doing 2-bedroom structure, do you know you can negotiate and spend almost the same cost? What we lack for most of us is information, that you can still be able to spend that budget of 3 million even when you are using this constructant. I've told you what you need. Negotiate where you need to do, but get quality individuals and quality materials Everything should be quality, but negotiate the best way you can. What does it mean? You have to invest your time, your mental, your resources and stuff like that. Let me go to number 5. Some people refuse to comply to statutory requirements. These are approvals. You know, buildings need to be approved. And do you know, read a structure somewhere myself. I was trying, and people try, I was trying to understand how the approval process goes, and of course I do. And also the charges that occur. If you go to Kiambu County, for example, you pay 35,000 for architectural approvals and 35 for structural approvals. This for single residents, like if you are building your own home. I'm not talking about flat or a fence and stuff like that. Imagine trying to save 70,000, so that, of course, those kanjos will be chasing you. For some people, if you don't do it so well, they might eat more money from you than the 70,000 you are trying to save. What am I trying to say? You are putting up a structure of 10 million, you're trying to escape the 70,000. I don't believe that is wise enough. There are people who are doing that. If you can get all that money, you can still get money and do things right. And do you know some of these structures we are doing, they are supposed to outlive us. I went to Boston when we were doing some of these activations. Found a house that is more than 100 years old, and it is still standing today. This is a single resident kind of a house. Told it was done in 1920. Imagine. And it is still there, it's still being used. Why? Because those guys follow the process. Go to number 6, people. There's a pre-construction phase. This is like more like planning. Even if you are doing a trip or holiday, you need to do planning. If you are taking a kid to school, you have to find which school do I take them, which kind of education system, where you live, and all those things. These are called planning stages. It's something called in construction pre-construction. This is where you do feasibility for the project. You understand whether it can be done or not. This is also where you do design and many other things. I'll not go to the details of, because the moment you have these professionals, they give you all this information. That's why you are paying them. They have gone to school. If you're doing architecture, you did 6 years, my friend. Another engineer did 5 years. You have all these guys, they have all this information in their fingertips. Today I'm giving you more or less, not very general, but not very specific information to guide you. I want to guide you and convince you, my friend, you can still use the same money, the same time, and you still use profession. You just need to invest in the mjengo that you are doing. Don't run away from it, by the way. It's the same reasoning for small businesses. You do businesses kienyeji way, the background, because you are hiding, you don't want to be seen, you don't want your friends, your people to know that you have a big business, you don't want the revenue authority, the government, statutory bodies, you hide from them. What happens? You play small all your life. If you come out big, you'll pay all those things, but do you know what? The cost of paying all these things is so small compared to the gain, and that is the same thing with construction. Please don't rush pre-construction. Please plan off those things, know where the material is going to come from, the critique, the design, look at where the weaknesses are. Do all that and take your time. By the time you start dropping the materials, having people start doing the actual building, you have done your groundwork, you have done your surveys, you have done your budgets, you know where the money is going to come from, and you'll do a proper construction. Please follow this, because you have all to gain and everything to lose should things go wrong. Number 7, people use substandard materials. I have talked about quality. You can get quality and still be able to get it at a very good price, not at a very low price, to be specific. You can't cut costs from 100% to something like 30%. No, that is not possible. I'm telling you, you can cut maybe 10 to 30% or there, which is good enough. Remember, if you are doing this house, you have already planned. You have taken a circle loan. You have saved for many years. Some people have taken the normal loans that we take. You have, instead of using your bonus or per diem, you have decided to build your own house. Basically, you have sacrificed. Why should you use that money wrongly? By not just having enough knowledge, not trying to run away from things. Basically, what I'm trying to say, you can still achieve like these high quality materials, but do your own homework. Some people import, by the way. Some people buy from here. They know where you get. By the way, if you talk to fundis, if you talk to these professionals, most of them can be able to advise you. Anakwambia for bao, the best one, you go to industry to a specific supplier. If you want tiles, this is in a break sana. If you buy from a certain street, I'm not going to mention. If you buy from this, they stay. Then you compare the pricing. So those are the things I'm talking about. Be willing to go out there. Be willing to find information until you get the correct thing. And look for information from people who are professionals, they are experienced, and you can see the kind of structures they have done before. I will give an example. In 2016, there's a house called Dolkami House, which collapsed in Juja. It is rumored of information that was given. It started developing major cracks on the floors and walls each and every day. So when a professional was asked, they blamed this on materials, on the mixture ratios. If you look at structures, especially the columns, there's a certain ratio that need to be followed. And because cement is more expensive than sand, some people may try to alter that ratio so that they use less of what is expensive. What happens? You have a very weak structure, it still keep cracking. One day, if these are small earthquake, it go down, your 10 million goes down. For flats, is more than 50 million shillings going down. Imagine. That is not wise, if you ask me. Number 8, lack of communication. There are so many mistakes. If you go back to the Bible, I think the first communication problems, the house of Babel. These guys were trying to build a tower that will go all the way to God in the sky. What happened? This God did just one very small thing. Communication. They could not speak in the same language, and like that is exactly how that tower collapsed and it started being construction. Please don't suffer from the same problems of communication. And of course, it all starts, they say things don't go wrong, they start wrong. It all starts from the beginning. The moment you try to save, use low quality materials, use a more shorter time. I've seen a flat go up in almost a month or something. Then you're wondering, you're supposed to take 21 days for the slab to dry. How did you dry like 4 floors? Of course, there are new technologies. I'm cognizant of that fact that are being used today. But for somebody doing a traditional way of construction, there are those they need that. So stop trying to cut corners. And when you have the right people, the right professionals, the right people on the ground, communication starts easy, because some of these big projects have a clerk of works or a project manager, whatever you may call them, somebody who is coordinating everything. When the materials get to site, where they will be stored, when they need to be delivered, what time we need to wait for you to go to the next step. That overall management need to be there. You need to have the right people so that you can achieve communication. There are people who manage them Django themselves. You are project manager, that is okay. But there are people who try to manage it with no knowledge. You need to work with other people. I can manage Mjengo, but I'll need a clerk of work down there who will be saying, kusema on the ground. You need that so that communication is something, so that things move on so well. But 9, we have blame game. Like right now, if you go to Kinoo, of course, most people are trying to find out who is to blame. And that's how humans work. Even in Kenya, when you had a motorbike incident, very bad, and we condemn it with all the terms, people are trying to find out who can we blame. And that is a loser's game, if you ask me. Instead of asking ourselves, how do we fix the mistake? How do we fix the problem? And how do we ensure it doesn't happen again? Look at the border issue, for example. I commend the government, because I realized they want to register these people. They decided to remove the 5,000 that the border riders need to register with, making the registration so easy. Then after that, you have to join a circle, and in 60 days, there are things. That's how you solve problems. You create structure and ask ourselves, how do we move forward? I know maybe the county government is also trying to do something about it, but what I'm trying to say, if a mistake happens, blame game is not the way to go. If, for example, now you have listened to this show, you have been watching me today, and you're wondering, I've been making all these mistakes. Start blaming your contractor, he did not tell you. No. this is the time to fix things. You need to pause, reflect, know where you have gone wrong and how you can be able to change. If you did not have professional and you are doing Amjengo, maybe temporary structures are exempt. Like if you are doing a Babati house, for example, maybe those ones we can exempt. That's where they are temporary structures and maybe you don't need approval from the county government. But if you need doing a permanent structure, you're almost halfway there. You have not been using professionals and all the things that have been given. Don't blame anyone. Look at it, especially as the owner. If you are not using professional, you can get one. They can guide you. Maybe they can tell you this foundation cannot support, and you're in the first floor, cannot support the 2 floors that you are building, and they can tell you how to rectify. We go back there. Don't blame anyone. Maybe you did not know, and if you did, because some people know, maybe now you are more convinced. And the last thing, number 10, time is going very fast, and this is also a big one. People are trying to do construction themselves with zero knowledge, zero experience, zero nothing, just to be able to save. And there are people who also go to Google. Google is a friend, or go to YouTube. You look for videos to show you. If you are one of those geniuses, and of course geniuses in the world are less than 0.1%, maybe you can do it. But most of us are not. You need to follow professionals. You can even, some people, you need all these professionals. One of the most important personnel that you need is a contractor. So people are doing this to save costs, to save time, and save all manner of things, trying to do things yourself. What you end up doing, you might even use more money. Let me explain how. What happens, people refuse to pay the approval fees of county government. What happens, those people are also in business. They're very sharp. You know how our country operates. They'll be coming looking for kickbacks, and I hear they even send their friends. If you had come out today, they'll send Joroge tomorrow so that you don't know. So you keep eating, and for most people you might realize you paid more than the 35,000 that was required. That's number 1. Number 2, you get a substandard structure. Number 3, you'll have people, because they think when you are greedy, you make mistakes. When you want to cut the budget, the time, and many things, there are people who make serious mistakes. You'll get someone who will tell you the materials they are providing to you are cheap. By the time you do research, you realize you could have bought the same materials, high quality materials at exactly the same cost. Especially materials, people get cornered there. I covered another video months ago about construction, how to save cost, how to ensure that you do it right and stuff. We also covered these things, but today I also want to tell you, if you want to do it yourself, you need these professionals. If you want to do it yourself and you want to cut costs, go and negotiate those high quality materials yourself. If you want to spend less time, look for this profession and understand the minimum amount of time to be able to do that structure. Some people are trying to perform miracles to cut costs and time and stuff like that. We end up with this substandard building. And one big thing I've not covered today is our mindset, our society, how we want to operate. People believe you can only do things in a certain way. We have been cultured, we have been brought up the way we see things being done. We can do things differently. If you travel and go to different countries of the world, especially in Asia, you'll find people using technologies, using different way of construction every day. And people follow rules, people follow approvals. Those are their society. People follow laws. But in Kenya, we have a section that don't believe in that, because we think we are cutting corners, we are cutting costs and stuff like that. Eventually, if you are to compare somebody who did it right and somebody who did it wrong, they might have spent the same. The moment you start doing it right, you also have to be someone who is wise. You have to be innovative. You have to invest time to understand, how can I be able to reduce my cost without compromising on quality. It is very important, and those are called constraints of project management for those who did that course in college or in the university. You need to get the highest quality at the lowest cost in the most or the best time that can be achieved for that kind of a project. I'm hoping some of these things I've shared are relevant to you today. If you have started your mjengo or construction and you realize you have made mistakes, you can still consult people who know. They are always there. We have companies, consultancies that are doing this, and they can tell you because they have spent years, 10 years of experience, 6 years in the university to be able to tell you exactly that. Negotiate your cost if you need to, but don't go to those juaka. I know in every profession you have 1% or less than 5% of mikoras, people who don't follow process yet. They know I'm not talking about that. Look for people who have a track record, people who have mijengos they have done and they are standing and they are well done. If you do this, most likely you'll do it right, and we'll stop having buildings falling every other 3 months or 2 months, and those are the ones that are reported. We have others in the village that are not reported by anyone. I believe we can be able to sanitize the industry, do things right. Before I leave, I have been to the US, and one of the things that I noticed, number one, it might not be related to this discussion, I never found a Maram road. Maybe that has to do with government. All roads were tarmac, maybe is where I went, but I went so many places. Number two, I look at the way they manage their estate. This is a challenge to us as developers. You'll find that everything is planned so well. There's space, there is everything, amenities and all kind of stuff. And if you go to the US, for example, of course, I don't know the arrangement, but all the states have tarmacs, right? Even inside, they are so well planned. People don't cut corners as part of their societal fabric. In Kenya, I know one of the biggest challenges we face, not just because of not following. Some people know this, but we like cutting corners. It's our undoing, but I'm telling you, you can still achieve the same by following the right process. And that's how you become a smart human being, a smart Kenyan. I believe you want to be smart. Please share this video. We'll stop there for today. If you have other ideas, I know professionals are listening to me, go tell us about how we can avoid these buildings from falling. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, like our Facebook page, follow us on Instagram, look for username with red and green, and thank you so much for watching these shows. My name is Reuben. Have a very nice day and a nice week as well.